Hi all. This is the second part to a critical analysis video, specifically on a case study of Dio in the subculture of furry. There was so much information, so many lies, so much deception, slander, hate and bigotry, that I had to both cut a lot out and separate this into two videos.
Master Zelox.
Read, understand, and hope you enjoy. We will start off this video in a similar area to the other video. Dio playing the victim when being the aggressor, and doing so through outright lies. For context, it all starts with Dio stating that Altfurry is attacking artists and doxing someone for selling buttons. The linked post is of someone, not a confirmed Altfurry, just someone who has posted in the hashtag once, outright stating that they don't want to dox, and that there is an artist selling buttons promoting violence against others. Easy. Lie proven. But this isn't the end of this one. This post becomes interesting later on in the thread. Mill Tupperware responds stating that they feel no sympathy for those who advocate for violence against others for their personal beliefs. And then on goes the conversation, outlining what he is talking about, stating that the person selling has the right to sell it, but is morally bankrupt. It goes on with him asking how someone is deemed a Nazi, and Dio weighing in with a bunch of things that the people she calls Nazis don't do. Mill responds with exactly that his friends have been called Nazis, even though they don't believe in one thing that Dio said. Libretto Tor gets involved, stating that folks are allowed that opinion, that his friends are Nazis, due to free speech. False accusations are apparently fine with Libretto Tor. Libretto continues, asking their friends to act less like Nazis, to not be accused of such, talking about sense of humour and jokes. Then, here comes the part that matters. Mill states, and I guess you will have to deal with physical retaliation if you ever decide to attack us. Dio responds with, try me. This means, in English, yes, I will attack you, and you can try to defend yourself. As a result of this direct threat from Dio, Mill responds casually with, okay, I hope you don't mind getting shot if you decide to attack me, restating that Dio will have to initiate assault against an innocent individual, and even then the type of assault isn't outlined. We do not have context yet as to what kind of assault Dio is planning, if it is unarmed or with a weapon of some kind. We just know that Dio wants to assault, yet again, and is threatening it, yet again. As a result, Dio wants to clarify. It's an illegal escalation of force to shoot someone for a punch. So the assault she is planning to initiate against an unknowing individual is just an unarmed physical assault with her fists. Okay, good to know. I wonder if she knows that it's illegal to initiate violence against an innocent individual with a punch. Now, obviously Dio needs to play the victim in this situation, as she needs to play in all situations, and so takes a very small capture of some of the conversation, removing context, and trying to reframe the whole thing. She then posts to her thousands of followers, who appear, at this point, to just blindly accept what she said as truth. Another day, another, I'll shoot you, when I state I punch back when attacked. Though, everything she said there is another lie. Another blatant lie. It wasn't punch back when attacked. It was Dio initiating the attack, and then them being forced to defend themselves. And they didn't say they would shoot Dio. They advised against assaulting them for no reason, and advised that they hope Dio doesn't mind getting shot if she attacks them for no reason, unprovoked, Dio then goes on to justify her statements and actions, stating that she isn't afraid of a punch, and that it is normal to hit people. And even though a single punch can kill someone, she doesn't care about that. Apparently, it's only Bruce Lee who can kill with one punch, which is why in the country that I live in, Australia, we have significant laws against one-punch assaults due to the large number of deaths that have occurred due to them. Oh. It seems that reality isn't in line with Dio's justification for violence. Boozy Badger then pops into the conversation and states, "I thought this was over. How are we back on this?" To which Dio says, "Boozy, this is the worst merry-go-round." To which I fully agree with Dio. She should stop threatening assault and getting frustrated when people say they'll defend themselves against her unprovoked attacks. Seriously, get off this merry-go-round, Dio. Stop threatening others and playing the victim, then posting out-of-context clips of conversations to better lie to your followers while you play the victim. It's getting extremely old. Sure, the first time worked well. Dio managed to get a con shut down through lies and targeted harassment. But, seriously, please stop. Dio continues to post out-of-context small clips of conversations to try and better play the victim, when all the other party was saying is, don't assault people. There are consequences for that, including their right to defend themselves from your unprovoked, violent actions. In a conversation with Malice Lone Wolf, we see Dio continuing the lie, that she apparently is trying to just explain her position calmly, and that people come back from that saying that they want to shoot her. This is a two-part lie. Dio doesn't explain her position calmly. She threatens violence and justifies unprovoked assault against others. 2, they don't come back stating that they want to shoot her. They are stating that they will defend themselves against her violence, should she choose to assault them. Thankfully, Casual Fennec, a first responder, a paramedic, weighs in on Dio's justification of violence and assault, taking a small clip of what Dio was saying, justifying that a single punch from her should be fine, and outright says no, a single punch can kill. Casual states, "Guys, this is uninformed, stupid, and dangerous. Don't assault people. Don't leave people disabled. Don't risk murder." Which is exactly what you do if you assault people. You do risk leaving them disabled or dead. And what is Dio's response to this? 3 parts. 1, a lie, stating that she didn't intend to assault anyone when she was threatening just that, and then saying that the person responding to her threat with a statement of self-defense was actually a threat to shoot her. 2, playing the victim, stating that Casual omitted part of the conversation, and that she was tired of people saying that they were going to shoot her. Well, honey, you'll only get one shot if you decide to assault people with concealed carry weapons, and who find the need to defend themselves. So, perhaps, don't assault people. That might be a good idea. That would solve all of your issues. And 3, posting a lie to her thousands of followers to let them know the thing that she is annoyed about, and complaining about centrists for some reason. So Dio then goes into more detail, or continues with the lie, I should say, pretending that the conversation was about the law of not escalating violence, when she was threatening to escalate the violence from none to assaulting someone unprovoked. So wouldn't someone shooting her in turn be somewhat poetic? She initiates an assault, escalating the violence from none, then they just escalate the violence again. Campion gets involved, and is very accurate in what they say, while Dio continues with her lie because she needs to be the victim in all situations. And Califur gets a response from one of Dio's many followers, who believes her outright rather than looking into the easily available Twitter threads to get the full context of the situation. Now, let's have a look at a small selection of examples from some of Dio's followers, keeping in mind that the full Twitter thread is easily available for anyone to look at and see the progression. That Dio jumped into a conversation when someone even mentioned self-defense to make a threat, and then play the victim when they said they would defend themselves against her. These are all in response to Casual Fennec's statement of, don't assault people, don't leave people disabled, don't risk murder. Lukashol states, counterpoint, Nazis are worse than leaving people disabled or murder for unprovoked assault. Oof. That is a little harsh. Dreamer Hyena believes that the post is clipped out, even though Casual was talking about a particular comment and responding to a particular thing. But hey, at least Dreamer and Wolf of the Night will upgrade their block list of people who don't like unprovoked assault that could kill innocent people. Booty Pup asks about leaving out the part where people threatened to shoot her in self-defense after she threatened them for no reason. Dreamer in again, apparently very set off by this, stating that Dio's justification of violence is acceptable due to Dio getting rape and murder threats that she hasn't shown to anyone, and that Casual bringing attention to Dio, justifying punching people and seeing no issue with it, is apparently adding to the problem. Regular Stone is also talking about cropping out part where someone said that they hoped Dio wouldn't mind getting shot in self-defense if she attacked them unprovoked. Same with the Unlucky Sheep, Smoky Durr, Castle Cattle, Dubs Bear, and Cuddling Dragons. There seems to be a theme of no thinking for oneself when following Dio at this point. Everyone just blindly accepting and trusting that what she says is truth, even though it's just a lie so that she can play the victim. Finally, Horde Boy Riot weighs in that apparently centrists are horrible because they are quiet about death threats that haven't been seen, and flip out because Dio responds to a death threat with a punch threat. They seem to have gotten the whole situation turned around in their mind. That Dio is such an amazing victim that reality progresses in reverse. And just to demonstrate that this is consistent with Dio, here's an example of one of her death threats and shoot-to-kill Dio threats, where Cordite says, "Thanks for ruining RMFC. I won't wish you the firing squad Antifa and friends deserve, but you should feel ashamed for literally ruining several hundred people's good time because of your hurt feelings." A statement of, "I won't wish you the firing squad," is now a death threat. Well done, Dio. You seem to consistently lie about things. Now I strongly disbelieve your hundreds of death and rape threats, considering that this is apparently a death threat. Good enough to show and circulate. I wonder just how limited and non-existent the other ones are. In a continued example of Dio's manipulations, she blames Altfurry for causing an increase in security costs for another furry convention, Califur. In a somewhat ironic blame game, she blames Altfurry with the entire evidence she has, being one phone call done by the Big KK on May 5, 2017, and some small, out-of-context snippets of conversations from May 15, 2017. The truth behind the lie is that the Altfurry Discord did run a short campaign regarding Califur for one of their panels, being a Meet the Baby Furs panel. Now, it didn't appear explicitly clear that it was a BDSM panel for 18+, and the name of it was kinda creepy in the eyes of some. There was a little bit of talk about filming the folks who went to that panel to work out the characters of the people involved in that kind of thing. Anyway, the short campaign before Califur was successful, and the name was changed to BDSM Littles Meetup 18+. And so the whole thing was suspended. Dio sells the concept that Altfurry is very anti-pedophile and needed to shut down the entire convention due to that panel. The Califur public statement about the increased security costs puts it all down to a large volume of phone calls 24 hours before the convention began. Looking at the dates of the convention, May 19 to 21, this means that the one phone call that is the only evidence of phone calls done by Altfurry was not the fault of this huge volume of phone calls to the convention. 24 hours before, also known as May 18, not May 5. This is, quite clearly, yet another lie from Dio, with only a hint of truth to sell it better. Not only that, but the big KK left Altfurry. You're blaming all of Altfurry for the actions of one individual, who then left a little while after this series of events. Even Dogpatch, who has talked about the big KK before, has pointed out that they were the ones to call the convention, once, and that they apparently don't like being tied to Altfurry, because they've left it, and it doesn't look good for them, because of the other more extreme folks that they're interacting with. Oh, and that they aren't even a furry. The only thing that Dogpatch gets wrong is that he made a phone call by the direction of Altfurry. There is currently no evidence to support such a statement. And now that, in 2018, Califur has had to close their doors, Dio comes back and continues to push the lie that it is entirely the fault of Altfurry. Okay. First of all, if this was true, that means that Dio is admitting to being entirely the fault for killing RMFC, because the very worst that Altfurry did was a few tweets and one phone call regarding Califur, and Dio did far, far more regarding RMFC. Dio does seem to love falsely accusing others of being Nazis, with little to no evidence. She has even made a very long tweet chain with information and apparent evidence about Altfurry, calling them Nazi furs. She makes a false accusation against the group, saying that it was apparently strategically made to promote fascism. As per her normal routine, though, there is no evidence to support this. Heck, there is even evidence to suggest the opposite. Me. I am a left-leaning libertarian kind of guy, who opposes authoritarian regimes, such as communism and fascism. And I used to be a lead moderator of several of the Altfurry discords and other groups, and was a moderator of the original one as well. Having someone like me on staff who opposes fascism would be a very bad move for a fascist group. The next part, though, is utterly amazing, and is probably one of the best demonstrations of Dio's outright lies and manipulations. Dio states the following: "More Altfurry nonsense. Rebel Wolf below got busted for prostituting his own son." Okay, now this is a serious claim. And in at least one reply, she's asked to clarify due to linking two photos that are apparently unrelated. If Aethrix was the same person as Rebel Wolf, and she confirms that they are separate people, and that, essentially, she is falsely attempting to link the two of them together. First of all, Aethrix, yeah, he got some Nazi armbands in the mail. Do you know what else he did? He left Altfurry because he didn't like how many people debated and shot down his ideas, and how pro-freedom of speech it was. He left because it wasn't extreme enough for him, and it didn't constantly support his views. Next, let's look at Rebel Wolf in this more Altfurry nonsense. Okay, Dio just posted a random icon image from him, but who is this guy, though? Rebel Wolf, also known as David R. Parker. Oh, He has some things dealing with child pornography and sexual abuse in June 2016. Okay, let's have a quick look here. After being arrested in June 2016, he couldn't make the $50,000 US bail and was held. Then he ended up being found guilty of child sex trafficking and faces a 30-year prison sentence. Well, we have a timeline. Let's see. The second ever use of the Altfurry hashtag on Twitter was done in February 2016. Not likely that Rebel Wolf would have found that, considering that he doesn't have a Twitter account. And when Altfurry finally started as a bit more of a hashtag, and a bit more active, was when the QQ took it over in a bloodless coup in December 2016. Oh. Wait, December? Altfurry as a hashtag only really started in December of 2016, and the Altfurry Discord started in early 2017. But Rebel Wolf had been in prison since June 2016. So Dio's saying that Rebel Wolf was Altfurry, but he couldn't have been due to being in prison since before Altfurry truly started. Oh. It's just Dio blatantly lying again and making up things that don't exist. So I guess everything is normal with the world. Moving on after that lie follows another lie, where Dio says that Draconis, or Steve the Dragon, is a part of Altfurry. Yes, he made threats, he lost the plot and made stupid threats. That part is true. However, in another image posted by Dio, she disproves that Draconis is even part of Altfurry, with Len asking folks to invite him to the Discord after he went ballistic, confirming that he wasn't actually there. Wow. Easy lie to catch her in. She even provided the evidence herself. And then Dio concludes with stating that Altfurry are all Nazis, pedos, and animal abusers, joining together. Dio. Hun, you can't have it both ways. Please, when you're trying to manipulate and deceive, stick to one lie. Don't keep flipping your lies. First, you claim that Altfurry hates pedophiles so much that they tried to shut down a convention and even got it successfully shut down because of the convention having a panel for what Altfurry considered pedophilic or too pedophile-friendly. That Altfurry hates pedophiles so much that they needed to ruin the fun and enjoyment of others to remove anything that might even resemble pedophilic content. And now you go and claim that they are, in fact, a group of pedophiles, with no evidence. Not only that, you have no evidence to support the false claim of Altfurry being Nazis. You haven't even attempted to present any false evidence to support the animal abusers' claim. You are just outright lying. Not even bothering anymore. Throwing around false accusations like they're candy, and hoping that some of it manages to stick. Is it because those who follow you will believe you, even if you're contradicting yourself so readily? Dio is essentially akin to a dragon slayer in a place with no dragons. Unfortunately, as there aren't any dragons, she needs to create them through falsehoods and fiction, to try and justify her bigotry, hate, lies, and manipulation of her followers. She's even written an article about how white nationalism apparently courts internet nerd culture. This article follows the 5 basic principles of propaganda put together by Dr. Goebbels. Avoid abstract ideas. Appeal to the emotions. Constantly repeat just a few ideas. Use stereotyped phrases. Give only one side of the argument. Continuously criticize your opponents. Pick out one special enemy for special vilification. This flawed propaganda piece that Dio has made was featured on a YouTube video by Drink and Think, ran by Stigmata. I joined the video chat while it was in the process of being recorded and posted some questions to Dio. Needless to say, she skirted them and avoided answering anything difficult. Several of the questions that I asked was just exactly what Dio had said earlier in the video, retargeted. Those were the ones that she ended up yelling at the audience about. After being a part of this video, and having Dio completely ignore and skirt answering any direct questions, I joined the publicly available Telegram group Drink and Think that is a part of the video series. I followed the rules while there, and ensured that I behaved well, and only said things within the confines of the rules of the chat. Now, even though I had followed all of the rules of the Drink and Think chat, and I was getting personally attacked by several of the members of that chat, which was in direct breach of the rules, I was kicked out of it in only a matter of hours. I guess what I was saying was too dangerous for Dio to allow in there, because apparently, according to several folks who contacted me directly afterwards, Dio was chucking a fit about me being in there at all, and that I was apparently attempting to dox everyone in the chat, which is yet another outright lie with nothing to back it up. Shortly after that, she apparently pressured Stigmata to close the chat entirely and purge it, kicking all members. I wonder why she would do such a thing. That is a very extreme reaction for someone entering a public chat and following the rules. Perhaps she is trying to hide something. Even though I was only on the Drink and Think chat for a matter of hours, I did a quick search and found something very telling. Dio, recruiting for Antifa, and giving advice on how to avoid getting caught by the police, and how to get away with assault, while also admitting to assault herself, and given her past most likely unprovoked. Wow, that is something interesting. I wonder if I can find anyone actively recruiting for any of the neo-Nazi or white supremacist groups on any of the leaked Altfurry logs, or even of the more recent Altfurry chats that I was in. No. It hasn't happened. Now, the article that Dio wrote is utter nonsense, but let's just break it down a bit and look at who is active and who is doing what within the nerdy subculture of furry. Well, let's just have a look at Dio's page on Fur Affinity. Now, for context, this was researched before Fur Affinity breached their terms of service and code of conduct to falsely smear a large collection of accounts as Nazis and removing them permanently, turning the website from a furry website to a political website with a furry sub-theme. Oh, would you look at that? Fur Affinity allows antifa fur and commie fur groups. So a group for a domestic terrorist organization and an anti-capitalist government group are fine to be on Fur Affinity. And there are a few other communist groups, socialist groups, and a Marxist-Leninist group. Let's have a look to see if I can find any neo-Nazi, white supremacist, or fascist groups on Fur Affinity. No. There aren't any. Well, let's search for Antifa then. Okay. There isn't just one group of Antifa furries, there are two. One is less active than the other. Antifa Furs has more followers, is posting Antifa propaganda pieces, and even has a Tumblr established for recruitment and organization. Okay then, let's expand the search for anything German-related, or anything that could be taken to be anything Nazi-related. We got a hit. Wehrmachtfurs, a historical group about the German armed forces of World War II. Oh wait. They have a no-hate policy and will purge anyone who has done any rude, hateful, or racist remarks. Huh. This is looking one-sided as to who is targeting and recruiting on furry subculture websites, and who is actively allowed to do so, and supported by the sites in doing so. Wonder if I can find any furry-themed neo-Nazi or white supremacist propaganda. Oh, no. It doesn't exist. Oh, wait. There is furry communist propaganda, though. The Cultural Marxist. Oh. And there have been 2 magazines printed, with the help of numerous contributors, artists, writers, and others. And both of the editions have been physically handed out at conventions. Wow. Okay, well, we've seen the lacking evidence that Dio lies about to falsely smear things regarding Altfurry apparently being hateful and Nazis. So let's have a quick look at the leaked chat logs of the leftist furs, a group that Dio was a major member of. Okay, we have examples of them being extreme, dehumanizing their opponents, saying that killing them is just extermination, not killing. We have Dio seemingly to promote doxing of opponents, to drive them out, and sharing photographs of one of her opponents. There they are, promoting a slander campaign against an artist they don't like, contemplating a social media campaign to falsely claim that he has raped children. Again, promoting death of their ideological opponents. Oh, talking about how best to kill Foxler through poison, and talking about making their artworks more propaganda-based. I think I see why Dio thought I was going to dox people from the Drink and Think chat. Almost the perfect example of Sargon's law. She also said that she left the chat after those comments about poisoning, so let's go through the leaked history. Oh, she didn't. She didn't leave for the entire duration of the leaked logs. It's yet another lie. Okay, well, what about Dio, though? Is she actively, in public, promoting communist propaganda talking points as well? Why, yes. Yes, she is. Quite a few of them, and for Antifa too. Well, it seems like if you took Dio's article and just retargeted it to be about communists, Antifa, and other far-left extremist authoritarian views, then it might actually move from being purely propaganda to actually being true. Because, heck, look at all of that. There's strong evidence to show Dio actively recruiting for Antifa. Antifa and other communist groups being actively within furry and spreading actual and legitimate propaganda within the furry subculture. There does seem to be a problem in the furry subculture, and it isn't with the non-existent neo-Nazis. This is a very good example of Dio being a troll. She has got an arse that includes her and Zoe Five Guys Burgers and Fries Quinn. Zoe, obviously, responds happily regarding this, and even goes so far as to say that she is happy to join the fandom to drive out the snakes. Zoe, that isn't happening. You don't do that. You join things that you aren't well informed about, and then make a mess of the place. Dio, obviously, responds with a somewhat ironic picture of her being a dragon slayer, though there aren't actually any dragons for her to slay. She has to falsify the image of a dragon first and defraud everyone into thinking it's real. Obviously, getting an image made like this is intended to get a reaction. It's something that I expect from Dio, for attention and for reactions. And then to use the reactions to get more attention, or even to play the victim. Getting something with Zoe Quinn in it is obviously going to elicit a reaction. I mean, many furries are gamers, and they aren't dead. Talking about Dio's followers and their view of her, here we have a good example. Dio pushing the "In Dio We Trust" shirt. This shirt and phrase is almost the mantra of the followers of Dio at this point. They trust blindly and do not question. This is why I mentioned the cult of personality at the start of part 1, and asked you to keep it in mind through both the first and then this video. But I have decided to make my own shirt and other merchandise, with a more honest view on it, a more true phrase of what is actually going on. In Dio, we blindly believe without question all things that come from her, attack others in a cult-like manner without realizing what we do or how we act, except that she is always in the right, always the one who is the victim, never does any wrong, and always needs our support. For our mantra and how we act show that we cannot think clearly nor freely about her or her actions at all. You see, after the in Dio we part, the words appear to form the word trust. However, this is not the case. There isn't trust. It is a blind belief of a figurehead that they have to accept everything from. But they lie to themselves and think that this cult-like blindness is actually trust. Needless to say, her Christmas message becomes more creepy when you have had contact with countless furries relaying first and second-hand accounts of her blackmailing artists and falsely accusing innocent people of being pedophiles and other slanderous things. And then she uses her power and influence to try and get people to falsely believe that groups such as Altfurry and Furry Raiders need to be removed and kicked out, even though they aren't hate groups. They aren't producing propaganda. They aren't acting like gatekeepers and trying to prevent folks from enjoying themselves in the subculture. They aren't being active hate groups like her and her cult of personality actually are. Heck, she even goes out and says it clearly. Apparently the Altfurry blocker is designed to remove Nazi furs, without any evidence to support such a claim. Obviously, as per the way she acts, apparently she knows who is behind the image trolling of fur affinity, without any evidence to back it up. As usual. When I look at Dio, I think of how it is best to deceive. For the most believable deception, you have to rip apart the truth and then stick it together with your lies. And I do have to admit, Dio is an expert at this. Let's leave you all with some words from Dio. This is particularly relevant to the followers of Dio in her cult of personality. You can change. You can get out of hate. You can come back to the fandom. All you have to do is realize what you have been doing and follow Dio's easy steps to leave her cult of personality. But you have to be the ones to leave this hate group. You have to stand up and say no. I'm not going to support hate. I'm against gatekeeping. I'm against identity politics being forced on everyone. I'm against false accusations being used as a means of silencing others. I'm against shutting down conventions due to not approving of a group of friends booking rooms to help ease the cost of attending. You can recover from this hate that you have found yourselves in. Please, wake up to reality.
End of the video. Please consider, comment, like, share, subscribe, support, and buy merchandise. Then after considering, do it. Please do it.